Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're really getting into something fascinating. The core ideas behind, well, extraordinary success. We're looking at a document called Stealing the Wisdom of World Geniuses: Success Principles. And our mission, like always, is to pull out the really key insights here, give you a kind of shortcut to understanding what drives success, not just for these quote-unquote geniuses, but for you.
That's right. And what this source really hammers home right from the start is that success isn't just, random luck. It's something achieved consistently
Right.
by following specific, repeatable principles. And honestly, some of these insights might challenge how you think about success, maybe even surprise you a bit.
Okay, so let's dive right in then. The wisdom here seems to immediately point inward. It suggests real success starts inside with your beliefs, your thoughts. The very first principle it lays out is pretty bold. Belief is the foundation of wealth. It argues, quite strongly actually, that the biggest factor in whether someone experiences poverty or wealth comes down to belief. The source used this powerful phrase that we were born to be wealthy. And it talks about needing determination to fight, strive, and persevere to sort of overcome destiny. It seems to be talking about breaking free from, limitations, maybe societal, maybe personal ones you've accepted, challenging that idea that your past dictates your future.
It's about mindset right from the get-go.
Exactly. And flowing naturally from that belief in your potential, the source says your thinking itself begins to change, which leads us to principle 2. Big thinking creates big results. It highlights how our success really stems from our thoughts. And that initial thought, that's crucial because it sets the scale for your goal. The document says big thinking will give us power, ambition, and the refusal to give up.
Right. So the size of your vision kind of sets the upper limit for what you can achieve. It's not just setting any goal. It's daring to imagine something, well, big, bigger than your current reality, maybe. And that vision pulls you forward.
Yeah, it pulls you towards bigger actions.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating how this self-belief also connects directly to another key idea here.
Principle 9, believe in your own worth. The source states pretty plainly that every single person is born with tremendous value within themselves. It really stresses don't look down on yourself. Believe in your worth, abilities, and efforts. And the really profound part is the idea that if you do your best and crucially believe in your own value while doing it, you can get everything you desire in life. And what's so compelling, I think, is seeing how these three, belief in wealth, big thinking, self-worth, they lock together. They form this robust mental framework before you even take a step, really. It just underscores how fundamental that internal belief system is. It's like the key to unlocking potential. It's not suggesting magic, but more that a strong belief system helps you see opportunities you'd otherwise miss, helps you act when maybe a scarcity mindset would hold you back, leads to real results.
That's a really important distinction. Okay, so you've got this internal foundation set. The source then shifts gears, right, and moves toward the active part. Because the best mindset, well, it needs action to go with it.
Absolutely. Thinking alone isn't enough.
So the source brings up 2 principles here that are very similar, but it calls them essential. Principle 3. Love for work is the engine of success. And also principle 12. Passion creates the energy of success. It says point blank, without genuine interest and passion for the work, there will be no power to create the best possible results. Success needs energy, it argues, and that energy, that sustained energy, only comes from genuine interest, from passion.
Yeah, and if you connect that to the bigger picture, you see why passion isn't just like a nice bonus.
Yeah.
It's the core fuel. It's what keeps you going when things get tough, what drives that sustained effort needed for really great outcomes. When you genuinely love it, the hard work doesn't feel quite so hard, does it? It's more like an outpouring.
Like a calling, maybe, rather than just work.
Exactly.
And all that energy, that passion, it needs direction. It needs to be channeled into something real. Which brings us neatly to principle 4. Action matters more than empty thinking. The source observes that successful people, they spend their time thinking, planning, and taking action. Because it says some things will change immediately when we take action. It makes this stark contrast. It says focus on moving your body, not just moving your mouth with complaints, and life will improve on its own.
Right. Get moving. Do something.
So the picture is clear. Passion fuels action, and action is absolutely non-negotiable. But sometimes taking action feels, well, risky, which leads directly into principle 5. Risk is the price of success. And the source doesn't mince words here. Success cannot happen if we don't dare to take risks.
Pretty direct.
Because everything we do inherently carries risk. But then it balances that, stressing that even with the risk, the reward we receive from taking risks is magnificent success.
So it frames risk not as something to avoid at all costs, but as a necessary part of the equation for big rewards. It's not saying be reckless, I don't think. The emphasis earlier on thinking and planning suggests informed risk.
Right.
But it implies that the fear of risk, letting that paralyze you, is actually the bigger danger to achieving anything significant. You have to be willing to step into the unknown, understanding the potential upside.
That makes sense. It's about understanding risk is inherent, not letting it stop you. Okay, so we have the mindset, we have the action, the passion, the willingness to take calculated risks. What about the long haul? Success isn't usually a one-shot deal.
No, definitely not. And the source addresses that directly. It moves into continuous growth, resilience.
Yeah, like Principle 6, never-ending learning. It describes successful people as those who learn continuously and endlessly seek new knowledge to constantly develop themselves. It reinforces this idea. Success comes from seeking knowledge, experience, and self-development. It's an ongoing process.
Which is so relevant today, isn't it? Things change so fast. That lifelong curiosity, it's not just nice to have, it feels essential now. Continuous learning isn't just for personal growth. The source says it's a direct driver of continued success.
And sometimes the biggest learning opportunities come from, well, when things don't go as planned. Which brings us to Principle 7, failure is the best teacher.
Yes, the F word.
Right. The source puts it simply, failure is part of success. But here's the key part. It's only valuable when we learn from it and remember it as a lesson, even on the days when we achieve success.
It reframes failure, doesn't it? It's not the end point. It's data. It's discovering what doesn't work so you can adjust. Think about any inventor, any entrepreneur. Their path is never straight. It's all about learning from the setbacks, the failures, and refining the approach.
Absolutely, and that ties really nicely into the next one, Principle 10. Gradual improvement is better than stagnation. This one pushes back against that feeling of needing huge, drastic changes. It says, improving and changing bad habits, even if the change is slow, is still better than not trying at all.
Consistency over intensity sometimes.
Exactly. It emphasizes becoming people who develop every day. Small steps, better habits building over time. That leads to success more reliably, perhaps, than waiting for some massive breakthrough.
It makes sustained progress feel much more achievable, doesn't it? Small wins add up.
Definitely. Now, while you're on this path, developing daily, you're bound to hit bumps. Maybe criticism, maybe negativity from others. That's where Principle 11, use criticism as driving force, comes in. The advice is, when we cannot avoid being looked down upon, we must view it positively, which is hard, and use it as motivation to try harder, develop more, and achieve even greater success.
That's a powerful mindset shift. Taking something potentially damaging, like criticism, and actually turning it into fuel. Instead of letting it derail you, you use it. Use it to get better, to prove people wrong, maybe, but mostly to push your own development. It's about emotional resilience, really.
Turning negativity into internal motivation.
Okay, almost there. There's one last principle from this source that feels quite distinct. It's Principle 8. Being different creates distinction.
Yeah. Standing out.
The instruction is pretty clear. Stop thinking about following others. Discover yourself and do something different, and you will achieve success.
This really speaks to authenticity, doesn't it? Finding your unique angle, your unique contribution, rather than just trying to be a slightly better version of what everyone else is doing. It suggests real success, that magnificent success mentioned earlier, often comes from bringing something genuinely new or different to the table. Creating unique value. Not just being louder, but being different. Okay. So, wrapping this all up, our deep dive into this wisdom of world geniuses source. It paints a really consistent picture, actually. Success isn't some secret code only geniuses have. It's about consistently doing these things, applying these principles. It starts with belief, moves to passionate action, embraces risk, involves constant learning and resilience, and values differentiation, a whole journey. So thinking about all this, what stands out to you? What's the principle from this deep dive that feels most impactful? Maybe something you could start applying, even in a small way, today.
And while you're pondering that, just consider how these principles aren't really isolated points. They feed each other, right? Belief fuels big thinking, passion fuels action, learning from failure fuels improvement. It's a cycle. Think about how consistently applying even one of these could start a real shift in your own journey. The power isn't just in knowing them, is it? It's in living them day by day.